Hi, this is Cynthia ORTIZ. It is the 11th of November, 2021. These are the Charles Perry Stalker podcasts. We do the disclaimer first, use allegedly. Nobody's been convicted in any court of law yet. Apply the but-for standard. But for Mr. Perry's unwanted, disgusting, disturbed attention, there wouldn't be a podcast. Apply the reasonable person standard, and we assert all civil rights. We shouldn't have to. We just have them. But unfortunately, Mr. Perry likes to stomp all over the Constitution. So we don't really have a choice. So today, let me do the recap real quick. We have the witness that came forward that said, Mr. Perry, as long as I've known Charles Perry, he likes to troll women. He puts hidden cameras in women's homes. When they're not there, he'll travel without his wife, Jackie, and doesn't have an alibi, basically. What he picks women. The victimology is divorced women with kids. He'll pick these divorced women with children and put hidden cameras in their home when they're not home. He either pays the landlord, or he'll pay the maintenance guy to get in, or he'll use a locksmith or a bump key and get into the home and broadcast these women all over the dark web. And he charges watch time. These women are not in a strip club. They're not in a fetish club. They are in their home. This is child pornography as well. You've got little kids being watched taking a bath and old farts, perverts, jacking off. He said, Mr. Perry will watch these women where they work. He'll get them fired. Then he will watch them. He hacks them. Then he makes sure they cannot find work anywhere else. They go broke. These little kids had a nice, happy little life, and all of a sudden it's turned upside down. They don't have any money. They lose their home. Then he'll have the ex take the kids away. He enjoys getting women hysterical, and then he goes and rubs one out. And I'm quoting the witness. So, it's election time again, so he always tries to put me in jail when it's election time. He did last time. Okay, so in May 2015, I tried to get a protective order from this weirdo. We're going to deal with what's real today, Mr. Perry, because you've got a delusional affair in your head that isn't real to me. It does not go past your forehead, sir. You look ridiculous. I wish you knew. I mean, if we can quote what you just said, we have an ear to the ground in a lot of places, and I wish you could hear some of the things people say about you behind your back. I get that you think you're powerful. Men who have power can get a real date with a real woman, and you cannot. What is real, sir? If you have had a decade of rejection. I did move twice to get away from you. In midlife, I uprooted my son and I, packed all of our shit, took time to cancel all of our electricity and our cable and all that crap, and moved, and started all over again. Had to meet all new people. My son did too. He didn't think that was too funny. You caused us to lose our home in Lubbock. You did exactly what the witness said. I had a friend that called the landlord and said, I'll pay her rent for her. Please leave her alone. She doesn't make trouble. She's not causing a problem. She's going through some shit due to somebody else's actions. And the man said no. Wow, that's your bread and butter. You were offered money and you declined and refused payment just to kick me out. And the only reason somebody would do that is if they got offered more money to kick me out than just paying the rent. The guy said, I'll go on her lease. I'll do whatever I do. Well, why would you refuse payment? So he did exactly what our witness says. And I moved twice to get away and not have a conflict. All I asked you to do is leave me the fuck alone. And so, what is real, Mr. Perry, is that the more you fuck with me, the more your crime starts coming out more and more and more and more and more. And you never get a date. Nobody's sitting with you holding your hand. There's no reciprocation at all. What is real, sir, is you are a 10-year reject. And you don't know what people say behind your back. You have people scared. I'll do to you what I did to her. I'll do a false arrest. I'll get you fired. That's your power. You're a Hitler. My granddad was a chief of police. He taught me power is in service. And at the end of the day, Like Mahatma Gandhi said, murderers and tyrants seem invincible for a time, but history has shown they always fall. They always fall. Saddam Hussein, Hitler, they all fall. Napoleon, they all fall. You don't have power. You can't even get a woman to like you. What is real, sir, is you have nothing more than a TV show. You're the butt of a dirty joke. You have no idea. Because if we know what you just said, we got our ear to the ground in a lot of places. People don't like you. If stalking, harassment, voyeurism, hacking, cloning, if all that is criminal activity, perjury, obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, murder, attempted murder, you got murder in the first degree more than one place, don't you? Allegedly. So, all you do is bother everybody. When you do these things, people don't like it. When you do that, it's offensive. That's why it's illegal. Genius. You're not all there, are you? Because most people never have to be told that. We talked about Lonnie Athens. He's a criminologist at Seton Hall University. He did this big study on violence, violent offenders. I would say first-degree murder is a violent offense. Wouldn't you? Domestic violence is a violent offense. It's economic abuse, psychological abuse, emotional abuse, and physical abuse. And when you bother me, that is psychological abuse. You're intentionally inflicting emotional distress on women and kids. When you take their money, and you are in some trouble for human rights violations, starvation, torment, and torture of women and children. Psychological torture. And you get off on it. And that's called sadism, and it's very sick. It's not a trophy, sir. A 1-year-old little girl can sit around and watch TV all day and pretend. And that's the best you can do. You have nothing real. Where's the power in that? Guys can go out, normal guys can go out and get a date, and you can't. Nobody sits and holds your hand. Nobody wants you. I don't. I suggest you find a sick, twisted little witch that has more in common with you than I do. So I tried to get a protective order. He's fucking with my money. And the second reason it's denied is I forgot to bring my police report. He knew you had to have that. It's the law. Look at the last sentence. You must file a complaint against a stalker with police. It's Oklahoma law. I live in Oklahoma. I left Lubbock in November 2013, so 8 years ago now. And lived in the Dallas area for a while. Mr. Perry made it really bad. I found somebody there that I liked. He butt in. Bertha, we call him. And interfered in something that didn't concern him. It's not his business. He wasn't wanted. He's rejected. He starts messing with that. So I move again. I left Texas and I had some police come to my work, come to Jaguars. And the first thing he said to me is, you got to get out of Texas, baby. It's the same police that tell me all the stuff you're saying. He said, he's going to hurt you. He already has. You got to get out of Texas right now, as soon as you can. He's going to really hurt you bad. And you have. You don't get a date putting a woman in jail, you sick son of a bitch. False arrests, smear campaigns. So then I start getting threatened. Then they're poisoning me. Right? Well, I got to try again because if I'm getting threatened with death and false arrest all the time. We have the McNamara email. He's threatening to arrange a false arrest. I don't know why. I had 2 police officers come into my work and tell me in August 2015. When I left Texas was in September 11th, 2014. I registered my son in Oklahoma schools. So it was a few days before that. Loaded up what we could fit in our car and fled the state. And that was to get away from you and not have a conflict, Mr. Perry. The delusional affair you have does not go past your forehead. I don't like you. You make my skin crawl. You disgust me. You're disturbing a lot of people. That's why you keep getting caught. More than ever in your life when you fuck with me. And you can't seem to get that. You're very slow. So this was done this was sent in October 29th, 2015. He's just trying to find some way to false arrest me. And at the time, the plan was my son as well. Judge McNamara is over juvenile court. So this is great detail here. How did I get that? By the way, Mr. Perry, I'm the Jenga piece. I mentioned here there's a Jenga piece that you push it and you shove it and you pull it and the whole thing comes down. That's me. You should have figured that out a long time ago. You're very slow. So they're threatening me. Mr. Robertson, David Robertson, comes in to my work, and he starts, the first thing he said is, I'm going to put you in the lake if you don't recant your claims. Wow, that's coercion, witness tampering, victim tampering. RICO violation right there. Boom. Because my sworn testimony is on the court docket already. I don't like this man. I don't want his contact. It's gross. He's disgusting to me. It's unwanted male attention from a Looney Tune who sits around watching TV all day thinking that's an affair. A 1-year-old little girl can do that, sir. You are ridiculous. Okay, so he's telling me all that, and I'm telling him on January 4th, 2016, a false arrest and killing me because I'm getting death threats. They're poisoning me. I'm getting sick. So the way that happened is some guy would come into my work at Lady Godiva's, usually say he was from out of state. For all I know, he lived down the block. In a strip club, you don't have to tell the truth. Neither the customers nor the dancers. It's supposed to be discreet. It's like that for a reason. One thing is, 15% of dancers get a stalker. Just if I didn't already have one when I walked in. Keep in mind, my stalker is a Christian, Deacon Baptist, family man, like Dennis Rader. So he says. I met him in the professional world. I used to own a business consulting politically. I worked all my life in politics. I did government reform issues, federal. I didn't do state. I did one state long after I met Perry. I guess I started that in 2012. I did it for free, and it was over a family situation. It was in New Mexico, not Texas. And the issue was also federal. The same thing we worked on in the state of New Mexico, it was also already on the books, already out of committee, went to the floor federally. And Congressman Nagebauer of Lubbock, Texas, voted against it twice. Never accused him of stalking, because he doesn't. He's not a stalker. Mr. Perry is. Mr. Perry and I did not do anything. I helped him get elected, and that was it. There was I'm sorry, I take that back. We did work on a caucus to elect the Speaker of the House. We were on the same side. Other than that, there was nothing. And I had 100 people that I was already working with to call. Perry was the new guy. I don't really care what he thinks about anything. Why would I? So even if I was a Democrat, which I'm not, I'm a Republican. I'm a little bit libertarian, but not really. And his district is 86%. So 86% far right-wing Republican district. You're not going to flip that one. So let's just say I was pro-choice, and I didn't like his pro-choice stand. First of all, I didn't live in his district. I live in John Frullo's district. John Frullo is also pro-life. You have to be in Lubbock or you won't get elected. So how stupid, Mr. Perry, that you think you're worth a political attack. We think that's hysterical that you actually think that and say it with a straight face. There's no fucking way. You don't matter. He's over about 3% of the population. When he ran for senator, I was already gone. I don't care anymore. I don't live there. I'm in Dallas now. Now I have access to more powerful people, which I already did. I was already working with very powerful people before you ever came in. I lived in Lubbock 3 years. I worked in politics for 3 years before I met you. That's what's real, sir. You are not worthy of a political attack, believe me. I've been in it all my life. All my life. I was born into it. My granddad was the chief of police where I grew up. He was a city councilman and a county treasurer as well. He had power. He said power is in service, not being a bitch to people. I've said the thing, man's kindness, it's a proverb. A man's kindness brings blessings. Cruelty will be his downfall. I have not seen anything be more true than this right here. You are a cruel, sadistic piece of trash. Listen to what the victim said to Dennis Rader at his, I can't remember the word. There's a word for it. Shit. When they did the sentencing, they got to say their piece, and they said you're impotent, you're weak, you're pathetic. And that's how we feel about you, the victims of your crime. We feel the same way about you. And we have the right to say that. People have the right to say they think OJ killed Nicole, or they have the right to say they think he didn't. They have the right to say Gary Condit. They believe Gary Condit killed Chandra Levy. They also have the right to say they don't believe that. In this country, we have the right to free speech. We can say what we think. We think you killed Chief Miller and framed Mike Neely, and I'll get into that in a minute. Did the same thing to Mike Neely that you tried to do to me, didn't you? My guys have recordings of Mr. Perry going way back trying to frame me on a murder. And he was had people from my work collecting my cigarette butts and gum. That's all on the state court docket. It is CJ 2018 02775. Anybody can look it up. I'm telling the waitress. He's got his guys collecting my cigarette butts. What are they going to do with that? Frame me for a murder? Because we've recorded him talking about it. I've heard those recordings, Mr. Perry. I don't have those. The police have them. But I've heard them. That's how I know. We always know beforehand, don't we? Who do you think you're fooling? You got reporters asking that same question, by the way. Who does he think he's fooling? We want the list of those people. So, I'm telling people this. Then, these guys would come in to my work, and look at what else he said. Mr. Robertson, let your life fade away. These guys would come in and tell me they were from somewhere else, some other state, and buy me a drink, and I would take a sip. I'd have to go perform work duties, like get on stage, or I'd have to go to the bathroom, or we'd have to do dollar dancers or something, where I would have to step away from my drink momentarily. Look at this next one. And now, would this not creep you out? I'm telling you, it creeped me out. So I would take a sip and get an immediate screaming headache, nausea, dizzy, metal taste in my mouth. And so, I mean, they were giving me something. I'm asking him, you giving me something in my drinks? Straight up asked him. So when I did that, when I asked him that, I Googled symptoms, arsenic or phenobarbital. There was two different occasions where it seemed like it was two different drugs. He says yes. That's pretty, I mean, he just submitted it. Okay, so then we go, you have to file a police report. So I did on the 21st, 2016. And before I can even talk to a detective, they have me arrested for filing a false police report in retaliation for a public servant doing his job. Charles Perry went into a courtroom and said, there's a crime. The crime is, because of a political vendetta, which I have no evidence of because there isn't one, this person filed a false police report. He had me, by physical force, prevented and delayed from giving the report of the crime he committed in Tulsa. This happened in Lubbock. I didn't live in Lubbock. Hadn't been in Lubbock for a couple of years. That's a lie. Did you make that claim, Mr. Perry, because you're delusional? Or did you truly believe it? Everybody wants to know that. Did you bold-faced lie? Or did you imagine something and at the time you thought it was real? Because you have no evidence of a political vendetta. There's not one. You didn't matter to me. I knew all kinds of people. All kinds of power people. You aren't one. You were the new guy. You don't go to the new guy for help. You don't. Especially when you know 20 people of power who've been in it for a while. They've got some pull. They've got some rapport. You didn't have any. I don't care what you think about abortion. That wasn't your decision anyway. It goes before the Supreme Court. So after I left Lubbock, Mr. Perry's pounding me with fundraising emails, and at the time I'm still trying to be discreet. This was in 2014. I was no longer in Lubbock. I sent him a response and say, I don't like your position on the abortion bill. Well, I had already texted my friend Aurora Facebook message my friend Aurora in Lubbock. And what I told her was, Rick, first of all, that's Rick Perry's decision on that abortion bill. I feel like it's a waste of taxpayer money because it's going to go before the Supreme Court and it won't pass. And it didn't. I was right. So the issue wasn't about abortion. The issue was you're misusing taxpayer funds, Governor Perry. Had nothing to do with Charles Perry. Nothing. And I didn't live there. He didn't matter. He still doesn't. Now, he has tried to make sure I don't make money in Oklahoma to try to force me back to Texas 8 years later. Tried against my will. So he can try to argue that I have a political vendetta 8 years later. All this, let's try to make something up to cover up our lie. Went into court and said, there's a crime against me. The crime is there's a false police report that's been filed, knowing you have to, by law, file one. Knowing he was poisoning me. Because I promise you, if he weren't, they would have got a blood test immediately. Had a press conference that said, we had her tested. There's nothing in our system. So there's 3 pieces of evidence that I named on this police report. I'm sorry, 2. I did not put the poison in it because I was scared to death Mr. Perry would overreact, which he did. I was right. He proved me right. My fear was a valid fear. In the police report, I said, my evidence, it asked for, what evidence do you have? I have texts, and I have a video surveillance from a night of work that things escalated so badly. Customers complained to the waitress, and Mr. Robertson was asked to leave. He was asked to leave. That's on video. They had video surveillance all over strip clubs everywhere. They do. They have to. It's a liability protection because men sometimes do weird things to girls. And vice versa. Girls steal wallets. I mean, we've had girls steal wallets. So it helps to have the video of it. Or the man makes sometimes you get guys that are so drunk, they spend all their money and they forgot. And they'll start accusing girls of stealing their money. Well, you just pull the video and you can see, did she steal the money? Or did he spend it all and he forgot because he's drunk off his ass? Or did he assault a girl? Because in the strip club, there's rules. Mr. Robertson violated those. I was telling him, don't grab my crotch. He's texting me, I'm going to grab your crotch anyway. That's also on the docket. That's a sexual assault, sir. You were told to stop. You said, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do it anyway. In a text. Wow. Not smart. Not smart at all. You can't grab a girl's crotch in a strip club. Some men make girls feel like they're supposed to, and they really are out of line for doing that. It's a gentleman's club. It's a gentleman's club. It's not a brothel. So they'll get the new girls, take them in the back, and make them feel like they have to do something they don't want to do. And that's unfortunate. Some of the new girls think they do. Girls like me go, nope, that's illegal. Keep your hands in the right places. You can touch my thigh. That's it. Yeah, I mean, you can't just get all grabby. You know, there's no grabbing crotches. Not at all. So look at the date on that, February 15, 2016. The detective's asking for my evidence. I'm already in jail in Lubbock. By physical force, prevented and delayed the reporting of your crime. Mr. Powell made zero effort, ever, to preserve the evidence of poisoning, the video surveillance at Lady Godiva's showing what happened that night, and the text. I preserved the text. He's the prosecutor. He put me in jail. I lost my house. My son and I were happy in the house where we were living. You caused us to lose our home. You caused us to lose our home. They were trying to kill me. Now, she says it right here. I don't have your evidence. Can you bring it in? So what happened to it? It's gone. It was destroyed. So that's obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, perjury. Where's the evidence of a political vendetta, Mr. Perry? Prior to here. Prior to, 2011. Because in 2011, before I could have anticipated he would be trying to make some sort of false accusation in a court of law under oath, I'm telling people he's creeping up behind my house. Look at the dates on that. Way before 2015. Isn't it? He's coming up behind my house. I might have to move to Vegas. I was considering it, seriously. I did move, didn't I? To get away from this kind of shit. And I'm telling his guy, Jordan, I didn't hurt him when I went to you and told you to make him stop, restrain him. He can't restrain himself. No power. The rest of us don't act like you. You're deviant. And you're not just deviant, you're criminal deviant, Mr. Perry. That should embarrass you. That should embarrass you enough to make you stop. And it doesn't. You act like it's a trophy, and we don't understand that. We're normal, and you're not. You're very abnormal. So I'm telling Jordan, I didn't go to the media with this. I went to you with it. I went to you with it. Jordan, I didn't try to hurt him. I went to you, not the media. I didn't go to the media till 2015 when I did that protective order. I kept my mouth shut, hoping Charles would restrain himself. He didn't. He didn't. He made my life hell. He still does. So, this was my friend Cheryl. Okay, you can't. He didn't know where I was. I didn't call Charles and tell him where I was going and what I was doing. He found out every Wednesday Cheryl and I would go to Carino's to eat. And he'd send Catherine, his little employee, to sit right next to us. Yeah, the whole restaurant to sit in. She always sat next to us, and it got to be bothersome. So Cheryl and I looked at Cheryl one day. She's looking at me like, what the fuck? I look at her and I go, let's go to Starbucks when we're done here. We're not going to talk here where she is. We do. We go to Starbucks, and I go, Charles has hacked my phone. He can see us texting about going to Carino's every Wednesday because I've never called him and invited him. Why would I do that? And he's sending her to eavesdrop. See who I'm hanging out with. See what I'm doing. Like a weird stalker. Because in his imagination, there's something there. And I don't think there is. I told him no. I told him stop. He was making a big thing in public. John Frullo had walked into an event. And he had been getting chewed out by Bud and Connie Curry. Wannabe Connie Curry. Chewing him out. He walked in and I pat him on the shoulder and I go, you all right? And he goes, you know, she does her and I do me. I mean, whatever with this chew out bullshit of hers. And Charles threw a jealous fit. Wow. Okay, well, there's nothing romantic between me and John Frullo. Not that it's any of your business. His wife was standing right there. Jackie was standing right there. He did it right in front of her. What an asshole. What kind of asshole does that shit? Married, happily married family guy. Prove that. Go be with your wife. Leave me alone. So, Cheryl, Mr. Perry, go away. The reality of it, sir, is you've been rejected for a decade. There's no reciprocation at all. None. You're alone. Nobody's sitting there with you holding your hand. You're watching TV like a 1-year-old little girl. We're not sure if you're a man or woman, to be honest with you, because you've got a lot of drama queen thing going. Drama, drama, drama. You are all drama. Jerry Springer Show Deluxe. That is not my thing. I'm not Trailer Park. Sorry. You and I have nothing in common. Nothing. So what's real, sir, is you're sitting there watching TV making a fool of yourself and people laugh at you behind your back. You have no idea. They don't respect you. You're all by yourself. A 1-year-old little girl can sit around watching TV pretending, playing with little girl toys. So are you a man or are you a woman? We don't know. Teenage girls act drama queen, like you. See, how old are you? What, 60, 70 years old? And yet you acting like a 1-year-old little girl. With the drama, with the a fucking teenager. 12-year-old little girl. How embarrassing for you. So, what I'm telling Cheryl is I think he hacked my phone and he can see where I'm going. Well, one night I went to run errands. I didn't go to Carino's and it was a Wednesday. I forgot actually that it was Wednesday. I go run errands. I forgot my phone at home. Cheryl, I get home and there's my phone and Cheryl's texted me. Are you coming? I text her back. I had to run errands. I just got home. I haven't showered yet. By the time I get cleaned up, you guys will be ready to leave, so probably not. About 15 minutes later, she calls me and she goes, you're not going to believe who came walking in. Charles Perry came walking in, walked back to our table, shot me a dirty look, and left. He wasn't eating. He was looking for you. And I was like, wow, okay, well, I went to run errands and I left my phone at home. So he should think I'm at home if he's hacked my phone and using it as a GPS. How did he know I even left, except for voyeur cameras? That supports what our witness tells us, does it not? How creepy. Listen, peeping Tom, man, that's a turnoff. That is not, it's a crime for a reason. You're a creepster. They call you Peeper Perry now. Peep and Perry. That's not a trophy. That's a disgusting thing to do. Since you fucked with me, the reality, sir, is that you've gotten rejected and your crime keeps coming out more and more and more. That's real. The imaginary affair you have in your head doesn't go any further than your fucking forehead. People make fun of you. You're ridiculous. There is no power in being such a burden and an imposition that the only thing you get from what you do is told on and caught and told on and caught. When in your life have you been this told on and caught? Since you fucked with me, and you don't get it, do you? You're stupid. You are not getting it. When you fuck with me, the only result of that is you get caught and told on more. Mr. Powell made zero effort to preserve my evidence and held me illegally for 2 months. And we lost our home. We had to move twice. That child had already been uprooted 2 times to avoid having to go through something like that. His mother taken in handcuffs after he knew, everybody knew, I was being threatened with death and false arrest. And I set my family down. It was a bright, I remember it, hot pink file. Here's the hot pink file with all his paperwork in it. If Charles Perry carries out that threat of death and false arrest, as I had described in the McNamara email to his dad, can you take care of my child? And they said, of course we can. That's what my little boy went through, Mr. Powell. You put him through that. You made no effort to preserve any of my evidence, which means you had no intentions of going to trial. And had Mr. Perry not poisoned me, as I said, he would have had me tested for sure to prove I lied. Instead, he made sure there was no test. He was trying to kill me. He's a serial killer, and he does it in these very, sneaky ways, poisoning, bullshit like that. So it's hard to tell that there even was a murder, much less that he did it. Because his intent was to kill me at Lady Godiva's and explain it away as, well, she's working in a strip club. She's doing drugs. She OD'd. Right? Isn't that what you planned? And then not long after I come out and say Mike Neely was also drugged. Mike Neely had just taken a police report on car vandalism. Mr. Perry likes going after my car. Whole album on it. Look at this, dated August 23, 2019. And boy, they've been trying to get me to go see my car dealer for months. Why? Did you call him? You're violating privacy laws. You don't have any business getting any information on my vehicle at all. You've driven it, haven't you? You have a car. I've gotten in my car when I'm not working. I'm not driving out to a strip club. I'm not doing my side hustle, Uber Eats. I haven't been anywhere, and all of a sudden there's 100 miles on it. Who's driving my car, Mr. Perry? You don't have authorization to go anywhere near my car. That is a crime too. Boy, you're just all about crime. Your crime is out there now, sir. That's reality, and you don't have a date. You're alone. You look ridiculous because a young child can sit around watching TV all day, pretending. You don't get any reciprocation. I can't stand you. You turn my stomach. You turn everybody's stomachs. I don't think you realize that. You're ridiculous. This was dated in August 2019. Look at the last sentence. It's not legit, but I'm going to have her car towed and sold before she figures that out. Mr. Perry, it's duly noted for the record, and that is a crime. It's not legal, but I'm going to have her car towed and sold before she figures that out. And there's pretty much been a conversation about taking my car or ruining the engine or vandalizing it every day since then. And Mr. Perry goes, like he doesn't know he's caught. And this is crime. You're not all there, are you? You got people laughing at you. And how is I'm asking our shrink. I've asked her more than once because it's very frustrating for me to have to deal with somebody this stupid. I can't handle it. I really can't. I was going to pursue a psychology degree, not to do counseling. You have to be a gifted person in counseling, and I don't have that. What I wanted to use it for is figuring out why in the fuck would anyone do this? Study of criminology. I've since changed my major to criminal justice because I don't have the gift of patience for stupid like Mr. Perry is. I can't deal with it. You're caught. And you act like you don't know that. You're delusional, man. You're just so fucking weird, delusional. Ugh, yuck. Okay, so we're all our shrink. I'm like, why is he not embarrassed? I mean, he embarrasses the fuck out of me. I wouldn't be seen with him for millions of dollars. He'd have to have a gun to my head for me to go anywhere with him. And even then, if I didn't take him down, I mean, it'd be his dumb luck. Because I promise you, I can take him down. He sits. You got a guy that's fat and lazy, slob, turn off, sitting around watching TV all day, wishing, pretending that's his life. That's not his life. It's against my will. It's just, you're disturbed, motherfucker. You're disturbed. You're making people hate you with this bullshit. Everybody's sick of it. They're sick of you. You're a burden and an imposition. I don't think you get that. You're just weirdo. And so he does that all day. Believe me, I can take a fat slob, lazy bitch like that down in a heartbeat. Wouldn't take too much at all. And he's not very smart either. He's stupid. So I can think circles around him in my sleep. So I'm asking our shrink, why is he not embarrassed? He's embarrassing everybody else. She goes, he doesn't know he should be. I think maybe his IQ's 30. If you can't tell cause and effect, like everybody else, when you're mean to people, they won't like you. When you mess with Cynthia, you get caught. You don't get a date. If you can't tell simple things like that, cause and effect, you don't have a very high IQ. We also had that criminologist, John Wright, that we talked about in misapplying, in my opinion, to an entire ethnic group. He believed that the criminal activity was higher amongst African Americans because they have the inability to function at expected levels. No executive function. Not following the expectations of social conduct. Maybe follow the law. Don't put a Peeper camera in a woman's home against her will. That's illegal. Don't stalk, don't hack, don't bother other people. Don't impose, don't impede, don't fuck with people. Go live your life, go work like everybody else. Go spend time with your family. You don't threaten, you don't harass. People don't like it when you do that. So what John Wright said is, I think that the crime numbers are higher amongst African Americans because they have a deficit with executive function, low IQ, and no self-control. Well, I completely vehemently disagree that you apply that to African American people. That's ridiculous. What I do agree, though, with is that that's probably the typical criminal, whatever their color. White, green, red, pink, Mexican American, Native American, whatever. Any criminal who is stupid enough to behave like that would be suffering some sort of deficit of executive function, right? You don't have an IQ above 30, Mr. Perry, we think, which that makes a challenge. I would like to interrogate Mr. Perry without his counsel after he's been Mirandized, and I've asked for that. My only concern is, can we use it? Can we use it? Because you're not all there. So am I talking to someone who's not smart enough to have a normal conversation and tell me, why did you kill Chief Miller? Why? Why are you broadcasting women all over the net, all over the world, and you think you're going to get away with that? You keep wanting to know who told and who's investigating you, and yet you're not putting it together that someone's investigating you. You're in a lot of trouble, and you just go right back at it, and you don't have a real relationship. You're watching a TV show. Nobody's holding your hand. You don't have a real date. You have the reality of being rejected for a decade. And not just a little bit rejected, vehemently kicked the fuck off me. You make me feel raped, and I don't like that. You don't attract women. You attract deviant men. You repulse me. I've sued you 3 times. I just filed a motion to vacate on fraud. Who is it you think you're fooling? That's reality. Your affair doesn't go past your forehead. It is not real to me. You're a Looney Tune. People are laughing at you, And you should be so embarrassed that you would stop. And you're not. And our shrink says you don't know, you should be. So I go in and I interrogate you, sir. I promise you, you're going to explain to me why you did this to Lucky and Mike. We're going to get Mike out. Except, can we use that? Are you not smart enough? Is your IQ so low that we couldn't use it? I don't know. That's for the DA to answer. That's for the DA to answer. But you can't kill people and get away with it forever. Surely you know that. When you fuck with me, you get caught and told on. There's never a date. The reality is of it, you've been rejected for 10 years. I've sued you 3 times. That's how much I hate your guts. I'm not impressed with you when you buy a judge. You make me mad. You make me want to throw up. How dare you mistreat the court system that way? It is not a diner, and the judge is not a short order cook. And you're caught. You spent $25 million on a cover-up you didn't get. Your crime is more discovered than ever in your life, your alleged crime. How many women's bodies are buried on your land in Odessa, Mr. Perry? Todd Reno. I get a call from a friend of mine, and she says, Todd Reno's dead. And I'm like, the fuck? So I met Todd Reno I never met him. I didn't even know what he looked like until he died. And then all of a sudden his picture was all over Facebook. I spoke to him on the phone and in an email about doing a fundraiser for CASA. He was on the board of CASA with Jeff Klotzman, who was the news guy, anchor guy at Fox News, the local affiliate there in Lubbock. And we decided we couldn't do it. Now I know Mr. Perry, that was part of Mr. Perry's MO in keeping women from working. When I first met Mr. Perry, I was married. I didn't fit the victimology. However, and my job was to get him elected, which I did. So when we get him in public, now he's easier for detectives to get to. And he's talked to several of my guys. He just didn't know that's who he was talking to. We think that's fun. I mean, he's just not. Mr. Perry can't. 2 and 2 is 8 to him, I guess. Anyway, so my friend calls me and Todd Reno's committed suicide, and I'm like, what? What the fuck happened? We don't know. She says, I'm really not sure. I mean, it's really strange because he's not the suicidal type. And I go, yeah, I didn't get that impression from him. I mean, he seemed like he's very much a community leader. Everybody seems to respect him. I didn't see a man with mental issues like that would lead him to want to kill himself. She goes, I think he got a divorce, but I don't think that would have made him, kill himself. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, so a day or two after that, I'm talking to Carl Tepper. Carl Tepper and Robin Tepper worked for Charles. And Carl says, I had just set him up with a date with Jordan Perry, Charles's daughter. He was 3 days away from that date. And I said, oh my God, you're shitting me. Nope. Wow. Okay, keep in mind, Jordan's Perry, I believe. I believe she saw her dad make hit on me, and I'm not going to get into the details of that. And it made her upset. After that, she wouldn't hardly talk to me, and I wouldn't either. It was an inappropriate gesture. Then you get Todd, who knows that Perry has called him and told him, don't give her any work. So he didn't want those two talking. All of a sudden, Todd supposedly commits suicide, and everybody's very confused as to what in the hell. This is not his way. He's not suicidal type. Some people are, like for me, I mean, I've lost everything I've had over and over from Mr. Perry. He's thrown me in jail. I've never had a thought about killing myself. That's just not the answer. So there's some people that's we can go through shit and it's not going to make us want to die. I mean, some people do. I mean, some people can go through even lesser problems and they want to die, and it's very sad. It's very unfortunate. I have a very strict practice in my lifestyle in that I make a list in my mind of everything I'm thankful for, everything that's good. And I've relayed the situation that I went through with my oldest son, Tristan. He had his appendix ruptured when he was 10. And I'm going to the hospital to watch my child hurt. And it was awful to go through that. He had to have a more major surgery than you would have normally have for an appendix. My younger son's also ruptured, but now we knew what to look for. I mean, I was in medical, but I did veins. I don't know anything about some of the other, very little. So I thought my son Tristan had the flu. And I think that we were kind of starting to Google appendicitis. We were kind of starting to ask questions. And by then it was too late. And I was like, I think this is not the flu. I think this might be appendicitis. So we get him to the hospital, and his appendix had already ruptured by the time we started figuring that out. My younger son had the same thing, only now we've been through it with the older kid, so we knew what was going on. We knew okay, no, this is not the flu. This is appendix. We got him right to the hospital. He had laparoscopic appendectomy, and he's home by the end of the day. I mean, God, I wish we had known that with Tristan, but we did not know. So he's in the hospital for 4 days with the surgery. And as I'm walking to his room, I'm walking past the room of these poor children with bald little heads and cancer, and I'm going, oh Lord Jesus, thank you that my child just has appendix problems, and I don't know how you be a parent watch your child die. So I think of that often, and how thankful I am that my children they're grown now, and I didn't have to go through that as a parent. I don't know how one goes through that as a parent. I really don't. There's always something to be thankful for and to look forward to in life. And I'm honored, frankly, to be the one that has fucked up Charles Perry's crime more than anybody else he knows in his life. That is also something I'm thankful for. I have my granddad's picture in his police uniform and his brochure when he ran for office. I have that in my room so that I can look at the legacy he left for me, and I have this hanging on my wall as well. I have a rosary hanging over it. So I have I'm not really Catholic, but that rosary does something special for my heart. This made my heart sing right here, Fabian and Hope. That's hanging on my wall as well. And then I have my sweet granddad. This is me and him, and when I was a little girl. And I have this picture hanging in in my room of my granddad. His name, he's on the front door of the police station where he was the chief. Now, even still, he went through shit, kind of like what I'm going through. It was over some guy couldn't keep his pants zipped up, and he took a stand against it. The guy was a city councilman, and so what he did to punish my granddad for asking him not to have an affair with the dispatcher and take time away from police business. The man formed a committee on the city council that kind of took over the police department when he was chief. He quit. He resigned. And I would see the stress on his face. And there was news stories. I mean, my grandmother showed me all the news stories, and they really, talked badly about my granddad, and he was incompetent and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God. And it was all coming from the mouth of this city councilman. And that he told him, don't come into my police department and take up police business with your affair with my dispatcher. And by the way, where's your wife? The guy was married. So they shit all over him, and he never backed off. He never said, I'm sorry. He never said, I said the wrong thing, I'm sorry. Go ahead, have the affair. I shouldn't have butt in. He didn't butt in. He's doing it in his police department. He's trying to take care of people. He's trying to relieve suffering caused by crime. He's serving the public. My grandmother said when he died, she got over 200 letters from people that he helped, thanking him for his service to the community of Roswell, New Mexico. So the other thing is his name is on the front door of the police station where he served as chief, and no one remembers who that other guy was. I couldn't tell you his name if I had to. I saw the articles, so I have this hanging on my wall too. That's our legacy. That's our family legacy. This was my great-granddad, captain of detectives, Roswell PD. These men raised me, and they raised me with good morals and good values. These are the people I met in my life. This is Senator Harry Reid, who, by the way, Mr. Powell, is pro-life and pro-gun rights. He was a Mormon. He is a Mormon. He was also completely misportrayed on the news, I promise you, because the guy that we saw on the news and the man that we knew in Nevada is not the same person. Mr. Senator Reed um, was highly respected in Nevada. He wasn't perfect. No one is. He was not perfect. No one is. But he was a Mormon, and he's pro-life, Mr. Powell. And he is also, guess what else he was? Former Capitol Police. Yep. This is John Ensign, Republican of Nevada. This is Rick Perry. I'm not mad at Rick Perry for the pro-life thing he did. Oddly. I disagreed with it, but I like Rick Perry in general. You can disagree with people on an issue and not make up a weird story and then keep your mouth shut about it for 4 years, move twice, and then go to the media with it. You're fucking ridiculous, Charles, with this bullshit of yours. So there's that. Okay, so then we have the situation with my car. Mr. Perry, it's not legal, but I'm going to have her car towed and sold before she figures that out. And then when I got caught on that, what I did is Dave Robertson had his employees staying at Lakeshore right next to me. We'll have one of them poke a hole in a radiator. So they did that. Then I had the brick thrown at me, which could have hit me in the face. Totaled my engine. It cracked my engine in two. Could have done that to my skull. That was murder attempt number 2, I think. So I get a new car and I go out and there's this weird powder in it. I asked the maid, Laura, have you seen anybody messing with my car? Everybody knew Charles was over my car. Remember, this was in August. Everyone knew about that because Charles told everybody in Manford, I'm going to take her car away. They called him Texas Mafia. He was not well liked in Manford. I don't care what he thinks. Yep, he's delusional. He thinks a lot of weird things. She says, nah, a weird thing is it's all over this other room. I went and took pictures of it. I call Manford Police after an hour. I'm pacing the floor. I'm a leader. And I'm very strong. I make a decision. Boom, I go. I don't care who approves. I don't call people and go, do you think I should do this? Or do you think I should do that? Don't need to. My granddad taught me not to. What you do is you think everything through. You weigh everything out. You make sure you have all the information so you don't look like an idiot later. And then you make the decision and you go. And you don't ask who approves. And you don't need that. You don't need it. You don't need everybody else's approval. If you're a leader, you lead. If you call in to ask other people's approval, that's following. Lead. That's who you are. You're a Hall. You're my granddaughter. That's what you do. So that's what I do. But this one took me an hour to make the decision to call. We were in court. I can file it for another protective order because I'm sick of the bullshit with my car. But I have to file that police report. So I made that phone call on November 4th. And Michael Neely showed up and looked at my evidence, TPD. Never once said, oh, we don't take evidence at this police department. We don't want to know what really happened. You know what he said? I want to see what you got there. Let me see those pictures. I had these just on my phone. These. Laura had already cleaned the room by the time he got there, and I kept going back and forth. I said first, don't clean that room. I need them to look at it. Then I came back to her and I said, I'm not going to call it in. So she cleaned it. Then I should call it in. I really do need a protective order. I can't keep having them fuck with my car. These threats are not vague threats. He's going to just do, he's going to hurt me. I have specific information about exactly what harm he's going to do, the how, what, when, where. You want me at my car dealer? Why? What? It's not your business. What are you butting into that for? My life, my finances are protected by privacy laws, Mr. Perry. Fuck off, butt in, Bertha. So I did go, though, thankfully, take pictures. Mr. Officer Neely took the report, and he wanted to see them. So a few days later, we got a murder. Right, Mr. Perry? And then you wanted to know who coaxed him to, look at that, beat his boss to death. Not a mark on him. Found unconscious. I'm telling the Florida State's Attorney March 2020, he was drugged, he didn't do it. There was no fight that he was in. Whoever beat Chief Miller to death is going to have marks on their hands. They're going to have bruised, broken fingers because there was internal decapitation, blunt force trauma to the head, severe damage over the head, neck, and face, extensive damage, bruising. Looked like somebody tried to choke him. So some strangulation. And he's found nice and neat in the corner, like someone placed him there, not like he fell in a fight. Mr. Perry's getting in touch with me, which is a very inappropriate after you got a subpoena. And this is called witness tampering. Wanting to know, how did I know Mike had to be coaxed or begged into going to Pensacola because you had premeditated murder planned? You wanted my car. You thought he was telling. You thought he and Lucky were a leak. Lucky might have been a leak. But when you killed him, did that change anything? You're still getting caught. You want me to go to my car dealer? What's the car dealer going to do, bitch? Did you call and invade my, privacy laws? You shouldn't know who my car dealer is. That was out yesterday because did you have him text me at just the right moment, Mr. Perry? When I did the podcast so everyone can see who my car dealer is? You already knew. Is that what you did? You already knew who my car dealer was. You just didn't know through legal means. So did you contact him, Mr. Perry, and ask him to text me right in the middle of my podcast that you shouldn't know I'm doing? And you would only know I'm doing from hacking and peeping. And both of those are crimes. And it should embarrass you that you're that weirdo. You're that weird. And it doesn't. And that speaks to the low level of your intelligence. IQ of 30, maybe. I want to interrogate you. Listen to me. I want you to sit down and explain to me, why did you do this to Mike and Lucky? Why did you do that to Todd Reno, Cliff Burnett? These are people's deaths that are in high question. Cliff Burnett, nobody liked Cliff Burnett. He's put something on Mr. Perry's Facebook, called him chipmunk cheeks or chubby cheeks or something. And like a week later, he's dead. Went long. You can give people a pill to make them have a heart attack, can't you, Mr. Perry? You know all about that, don't you? That's your MO. Isn't it? You've been doing this all your life, but when you went at me, all of a sudden, now it's out there. Now it's uncovered. I jerked your mask off, didn't I? And you didn't like that. But here's the thing. The mask is off and everyone can see you, and they've been seeing you for 6 years. Every day, they see it. This is not who he said he was. This is not. This is Dennis Rader. This is a church deacon with a secret life that is sick and twisted and demented and depraved and disturbed. Listen, Mr. Perry, when you came at me, I took your mask and I jerked it off, and everybody has seen you. They see you. You are not fooling anybody. I know you think you are, but your IQ is not much more than 30. If you can't tell that when you're mean to people or you're weirdo and you peep and hack and do all that stuff, you're a turnoff. You're a turnoff, sir. Nobody wants you. You're alone. There's nothing real. There's no reciprocation. I've sued you to get you off me. You disgust me. What's real is you have 10 years of rejection. And you're caught. And that $25 million you paid for a cover-up, you didn't get it, did you? So when I'm at Lakeshore, my guys record you, Creek County Sheriff's Department. Charles Perry called up here. He says he paid $15 million in a cover-up, and he didn't get it, and he's pissed off. Guess what? Well, you know what the rumor is? We heard, Charles, that you bought Sapulpa Police, you bought Creek County Sheriff's Department, and you bought Tulsa Police. They put the money in evidence. Because you're getting caught. You're getting told on, aren't you? Not all of them are helping you. You might have some that are, but not all of them. Because you're getting quoted all the time, aren't you? You were complaining, I'm not getting that cover-up I bought. At that time, it was $15 million. They put it in evidence. You didn't like it, that they weren't, covering up your crime. And you had it taken back. You stole it back. What are you going to do? Admit to bribery and sue them? So you just had it stolen. Now, again, that's a rumor. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I'd like to hear it from you. I'd like to interrogate you. I'd like you to call Chief Ridley, and let's all go down there. You waive your right to counsel, you get Mirandized, and you explain to me what the fuck is wrong with you. What's wrong with you that you think you're fooling anybody? What's wrong with you that you think you have a date when you're just really watching TV, getting rejected and made fun of, and sued, and pissing everybody off, and your crime is more caught than ever in your life? When you're mean to people, they're not going to like you. And you can't seem to put that together in your head like everybody else can do. You got some serious executive function deficits, don't you? This was inappropriate. Who else are this? TPD, look at this. Look at this question. Who else are the victims of the senator? TPD, who are they? Do you know? You're cops. You're supposed to investigate. When you don't do anything, when there's inaction, Mr. TPD, then people start going, well, maybe they did get a little something, something from Mr. Perry. You're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. But you can't be both. When I'm getting information from police that are helping me, that are protecting me, and I'm not dead, because I didn't go to work the night he was going to fake a medical emergency and tell me to help whoever was having this medical emergency, and then I'm supposed to be told this person has a virus and you'll get it if I don't give you a shot. Only the shot was like strychnine or something that kill me. And then they were gonna say, oh, it's just an unfortunate allergic reaction. And that was in April 2020 that happened. My guys call me, don't go to work tonight. He's gonna try to kill you because you got in touch with the Florida State's attorney and divulged that we found out Michael Neely was drugged and he wasn't in that fight. He was slept through the whole thing. That's why he can't remember anything and there's not a mark on him. Hotel John threw him face first into the floor, so he's got a busted lip. Not related to the fight. It's a separate incident. The arrest report says there's nothing on him except a red swollen hand. Right hand. Nothing on the left. Well, shit. He's got an IV in that hand, doesn't he? Look at that. That's his right hand, IV in it. But you beat someone down like Chief Miller was beat, you're going to have bruising and broken fingers, and you're going to have some signs of it on you, and he's got nothing. And he said that in his interview. I'm a detective. Detective Fife. And I'm not Detective Fife. Look at my hands. There's nothing on me. I'm sorry. I don't believe you. Where were you, TPD? When there was an easy to prosecute obstruction of justice, perjury, destruction of my evidence, when they attempted to kill me. And then this wouldn't have happened. And so what do? I get Charles Perry in a room and I interrogate him and I get him to explain, why did you do this? Why are you so fucked up that you put these people through hell and you ruined these families' lives and you ruined mine and you actually thought people would believe you? And we think that is hysterical. Because they don't. You look like a fucking idiot thinking that. You look like a fool. And you have no idea how embarrassed you should be. You don't know, do you? We want to know why you did it. But can we use it? Mr. Perry, your IQ might be too fucking low that we can't use it, even if you tell us why did you do this. Your IQ might be too fucking low. You might be too stupid to even explain why you put me through hell with your imaginary bullshit that only exists in your head and makes everybody else want to throw up. It's a burden. You're an imposition. You bother everybody. That's why you're getting caught and told on and caught and told on. And we want to know, why are you putting him through shit? So now that takes me to this. Oh, also, when in August of 2015, I had two cops come into my work. 2 police officers. Now, I don't remember their names. When you're in a strip club and you meet 50 new guys a night, you don't remember names. They have to come in on a regular basis and they have to spend some money. I don't know their name. I don't remember. You hear just names coming at you all the time, so you don't remember. Guess what? Most of them don't remember mine either. So, you're interacting with a lot of people for all night long, every night. You're not going to remember people's names. So they told me names, and they may not have even been their real name. I don't know. And I didn't ask them which jurisdiction they work for because I try to be very careful. Sometimes it's better if you can say truthfully, I have no idea. I don't know. Don't you think? I think so. That's why my guys don't tell me who Charles's leaks are, so that I can get on the witness stand and truthfully, under oath, say, I have no idea. I'm not told that. I'm not in that loop. He continues to ask me every day, and it is bizarre. In 6 years, I have told you the same thing. I don't know. Wouldn't tell you if I did. Because when you're in jail, there won't be any more hacking. There won't be any more creepster Charles bothering me. There won't be any creepy peepee. You're weirdo. You sit around watching TV in the privacy of my house. I'll have my privacy back. There won't be any more sexual exploitation. There won't be any more attempted sex trafficking. That's what you were doing to take my driver's license and my social security card and all the stuff that matters to me. My personal documents, my birth certificate. You wanted to sex traffic me, didn't you? You don't have any reason to have those documents. Bought in Bertha. Rejected fail. Reality is you're a rejected fail, Mr. Perry. For a decade. I left. 2013. I left. To get away from you. To get the fuck away from you. I've sued you 3 times. 4 times. Because I want you off me. I don't want you. When you're in jail, there's no more Peeper rape. You make me feel raped and I don't like it. No one does. That's not how you get a date. So get reality. What is real? What is truth? The truth is, you're a 10-year reject. You're a failure. You're pathetic. You're impotent and you're weak and you're powerless. Because men of power can get a date with a real person, a real one, without having to hold a woman at gunpoint. You've spent a decade sitting on your fat slob, lazy ass, watching television, pretending. Like a girl. We don't know if you're a man or woman. Because your drama queen act is stupid. It's ridiculous. We're sick of it. We don't like dealing with it. No one does. No one likes it. So these 2 cops tell me that senator from Texas told us he wants to just find something to arrest her for. Just find something. We told him no. That is not why we signed up to be police. But watch yourself, because he'll find a fuck that does. The bad guys, the bad cops mess it up for us, the good cops. We don't like that. So we came in here to warn you. Watch what you do, because he's going to have guys on his payroll that like fucking up everything for the good cops. Just trying to find some way to throw your ass in jail. And that was in August that was well before he actually did do it. By the way, my charges were dismissed a year and a half later. Mr. Powell had zero intention of going to trial. Didn't preserve any of my evidence. None of it. I preserved my text. Video surveillance is gone. Blood test for poisoning, gone. If they didn't poison me, they'd make sure I was tested to have a big press conference. Oh, see, she lied. That's not what they did. Acts showing consciousness of guilt. Right, Mr. Powell? You ought to know what that is. This is my police report here. The whole thing. That's the whole thing. So I think the date on here is transposed. I want to say, I think it says the report was filed on the 12th. It was not. It was filed on the 21st. I didn't get a call back until the 15th. And then before that, I got this in jail, Mr. Perry. You're just the butt in. You're pathetic. Okay, so I get absolutely pathetic. After talking to those 2 officers, I write the U.S. attorney a letter. And I'm telling him he's using cops to harass me. And he got it. The U.S. attorney got it on the 28th, 2015. Mr. Perry, you're not wanted. You're a 10-year reject. Get in reality. That's real. I'm not holding your hand right now, am I? You make me want to vomit. You make my skin crawl. You're a turnoff. You're fat. You're lazy. You're a slob. You can't control anything. You're sitting around like a little girl watching TV. Drama, 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 drama. You're the soap opera queen everybody's sick and tired of dealing with. That's real. You're stupid. That's real. I don't even know if I could interrogate you, bitch, and it hold up in court. That's how stupid you are, and embarrassing to me. I don't want you. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. Everyone is. That's why you're getting caught. If you can't put it together in your head by now, Mr. Perry, when you fuck with me, you get caught. When you fuck with me, you get told on. When you fuck with me, you get caught. When you fuck with me, you get told on. Do not contact me. I don't like it. Stop. Get your cameras off me. Get out of my phone. Get out of my computers. Get a life. And go work. Go hang out with your wife. Go work, Charles. Don't tell me what to do. He starts typing in my phone. Go to work. Wow. He's typing it in my phone. Wow. I said don't contact me. Who the fuck does that? You know how creepy that is for me? I'm trying to type stuff in my phone. I'll talk to my son, talk to my friends, or doing homework or something. He's typing over my typing. I can't even get anything done. He's typing right over my typing. I have to go back and delete what he types, and he's typing go work. What do you want from that? What nefarious bullshit do you have planned that you want to do what you did to Michael Neely and coax me to work? Coax me to the dealership. What is it you want to do? It's not your business. You're butting in. And it's duly noted for the record in our court. You want me to work. Where? At the strip club? Or my Uber Eats thing? Because you guys were recorded yesterday. We got to get customers lined up for her Uber Eats thing. What nefarious did you have planned? What crime did you want to do against me? Nobody can know when I'm going to work if they don't have Peeper cameras in my house seeing me get ready. Or hacking me to watch me do Uber Eats, right? It's all app. That's a crime, you sick son of a bitch. You go work. You do something besides being in position and a burden to everybody else. You're disturbing people and they're sick of it. When you fuck with me, write it down. When I fuck with Cynthia ORTIZ, I get caught. I've never had a date. She doesn't like me because when you're mean and cruel to people, they're not going to like you. Write it down. We're sick and tired of the repeating of the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. And reality is, you've spent a decade being a reject. That's the best you can do. You're pathetic and you're stupid. Get off your high horse, Mr. Grandiose Thinking. Serial killers have grandiose thinking, don't they? They feel like they're God. So, Mr. Powell, when I have these conversations on this, or I have these podcasts, or I have a conversation with anybody else for that matter, and I'm saying things to speak directly, you need to understand this, Mr. Powell. There's no harassment here. There is a strategy. I'm dealing with a serial killer. You know, you didn't take the time to look, so you have no idea what the truth is, do you? Right now, you look like an accessory after the fact or a co-conspirator. So I'm going to tell you right now, sir, you need to pay attention when I say this to you. Nobody cares what Mr. Perry, there's no attempt to harass him. What there is an attempt to do, Mr. Powell, is address the mind of a serial killer with grandiose thinking, who feels entitled to take a life. He feels like he should get away with it. Do you also? Do you as well? I would like the answer to that question, Mr. Powell. Look at the harm and the damage you caused my child. You didn't look. Look at the harm and the damage you caused the Millers and the Neelys. You didn't look. There's a thing called conspiracy to commit XYZ crime. You should know that. You're a prosecutor. There's a thing called accessory after the fact. The thing that happened with suborning perjury, was it you who called Gene Mitchell and Travis Myers and asked them not to let me testify for Mike? And this thing that you've said, you got called on it today. You got called on it, Mr. Powell. He says she just took it upon herself to butt in and insert. And actually, it's the other way around. She had something of value to say that Mr. Neely probably would be home right now had she been allowed to give that testimony. It's very pertinent. She knew he was drugged and didn't do it in March. Depositions weren't taken till May, and those depositions proved her out because those depositions said exactly what. Look at that. We gave him Narcan for drug overdose. He was found unconscious. Everyone knows you can't beat somebody to death when you're sleeping. If he did that, he did what no man has ever done, Mr. Powell. So you're the butt-in, and you are way out of line. Concealment of a material fact from the deciding body is perjury, Mr. Powell. Look at U.S. versus Strom, U.S. versus Vreeland. Look it up, bitch. You're a lawyer. And stop bothering me with this. Don't lie about me again, Mr. Powell. Don't do it. You're pissing me off. The lies about me, it's enough with that. Stop doing it. Do not speak for me. You don't speak for me, Mr. Powell or Perry. You don't. I speak for me. I'm in criminal justice college. My second year, I have a 3.89 GPA. I'm on the dean's list. I got it. I got this. I'm the one that did say beforehand in March. Look at the date on that. Look, it's the same thing they did to me. He's drugged and not tested. I think he was tested at the hospital after he'd been given the Narcan. He should have been tested before. We don't know what he was given that made him unconscious, do we? But he came to after they gave him the Narcan, so he responded to that treatment. They got it right. In other words, Mr. Powell, I do know enough about medicine to know that if they don't get the diagnosis right, you're not going to respond. Cancer treatment, chemo. You're going to treat the flu or COVID with chemotherapy? Yeah, it's not going to respond if you do that. And you also can't treat cancer with an aspirin, can you? Wrong medicine. Same thing with this. This is nothing different. He wouldn't have come to with the Narcan treatment if he wasn't overdosed, Mr. Powell. And you can't beat somebody to death with one hand, can you? And you're going to have broken fingers and bruising and such, won't you? Yeah, you need to, I was called to testify. What'd you do? Which one of you called? Mr. Myers and Mr. Mitchell and told them don't let her testify. She's inserted herself. This guy said, that is baloney. That is baloney. So, as I wrap this up, I'm going to tell you for the fucking last time, Charles, don't contact me. When you contact me, we start getting more of your crime uncovered. Is that what you want? Because it seems like it is. You never get the date. Reality is, you're a rejected fuck for 10 years. You are no different than the TikTok guy, and you're getting on everybody's nerves that bad. As a victim of your crime, I can call you whatever fucking name I want. Just like they did with Dennis Rader. You're impotent, you're weak, you're powerless, and you're a monster. You're provoking. You're pissing everybody off. Stop contacting me. I don't want to hear from you. I don't care what you think. Nobody asked you, did they? You were not asked, Connie Curry. You are just like her. She pulls John Frullo aside. Guess what John Frullo did not do? Ask her what she thinks. He did not ask. He doesn't care. He flat told me that when he came back in the room after she chewed him out. He looked at me like, I don't give a fuck what she thinks. I really don't. She does her, I do me. We're not on the same level here at all. You're that, Charles. How embarrassing. If I wanted to interrogate you, everybody asks me if I'm a cop, and I've said no. I'm working with police, and I'm not going to tell you what that is. You don't need to know. You're not in that. None of your business. But you keep asking me if I'm a cop, but you act like, you're surprised that I figured out Mike didn't do this. You're all surprised when I find out what you're up to next. And we're all like, oh my God, wow. Don't ask me who told on you and then act surprised. Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense either. So You say you even had the Florida State's attorney ask me if I'm a cop. As it turns out, the way it works is if I'm not a cop, I can't say that I am. If I am, I can lie. So when you're asking me this question, the fuck difference does it make? When I tell you I'm not a cop, are you going to believe me? What if I'm a CI? What if I'm a fucking secretary? What's it to you? But I know this. I can interrogate you. Ted Bundy's ex-girlfriend, got him to confess to all the murders in Colorado. It can be done by anybody. You want to say what you did. But if you do that, can we use it, Mr. Perry? Or are you too mentally slow? Because if you're not able to tell that when you do certain things that are illegal, people don't like it when you do that. And maybe that's why you're getting caught all the time. And when you fuck with me, that's what happens. And I know people who have power. By the way, they can get a date with a real person. And they don't have to hold them at gunpoint. You've been holding me at gunpoint for a decade, and you still can't get it done. So, get a grip on reality. Do not contact me. I hate it. I hate it. Don't contact me, and don't lie about me again, and don't speak for me, and do not call anybody I do business with. Privacy laws apply to all of them. So when I go to the car dealer to get paperwork on my car, what are you going to do? You want me to go to work. What do you think you're going to do, Perry? Give me more evidence against you? You are unrestrained. It's ridiculous. At your age, you ought to be able to act like a normal dude. Do not watch me in my house. Do not hack me. Don't contact me. I don't care what you think. You weren't asked, Connie Curry. Now fuck off, please. TPD, this guy's asking questions. I didn't put the whole conversation here. They're asking questions as to what the hell's wrong with you, that she couldn't figure out what he did. So you guys figure out how you want to explain that, because at some point you're going to have to. I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to tell you when and where that's going to be. You figure that out. But we're all sick of it. You know, we're sick that you didn't do your part. Somebody else is coming in and doing it for you, and that's pretty pathetic. That's pretty fucking pathetic. So y'all do what you do. We're done caring about. We don't care. Do what you do.